Hi, we're here once again with Matias Leyva. He is the founder of the Truckee Financial Group. I am Spike Spangle. Huge question on Americans' minds today is, when should we take our Social Security?
Sure.
We can take it as early sometimes as 62 with reductions. You've got your full retirement age of 66 or 67, or you could continue to let it grow out to the age of 70. Do you have a stance on this? Do you have something that, across the board, you would say this is when you should take Social Security?
Yeah, before I get into that, I think a story I share with everyone is, if you have a grandparent, a sibling, someone you know that's been retired for the last maybe 10 or so years, and they've had a fixed income, the thing about Social Security that's been really hurting people is inflation, right? So you have a fixed income and inflation starts to kind of take away from that. So planning for Social Security, I think it's actually number one on the list, no matter how much you have, because there's a couple parts to it that make super important points. Number one, if you're married, what makes sense between you and your spouse and when to take it, right? Who's going to get more of the other one where to pass away. But more importantly, how long you plan to work. So if you plan to work beyond 62 and you're making over whatever that Social Security amount is, $24,000, $25,000 a year, you may be penalized for taking your Social Security too early. If you take your Social Security at 62, it's going to be a reduced amount, and you can't reverse that. So you're going to be committed to that. Now, the flip side to all that is, with the amount of printing inflation that we've experienced in this country so far, I see a lot of people do take it at 62 because they want to lock that in, and they're like, there's a fear of that.
There's huge fear right now.
Not being there, right? So it all depends on your situation and what other assets you have as well, or if you plan to keep working. So there's plenty of clients that we have that are taking at 62 and they're done, right? And they're not going to keep working. And there's now clients that are planning for 66, 67, depending on the birth year, or even 70, because they want to maximize that income stream and they're not ready to retire just yet. So there's a couple variables there. And then also what happens when one passes and how much goes to the next person. And then there's also the dynamics of, how long were you married? Is it divorce, right? So there's some other pieces of Social Security. So Social Security is actually often the number one when it comes to planning, because it's an income stream that's owed to you that you've been paying into for all your working years. So 62 may sound great, but it may not be the best target. 67, 66, or 66, 67 may sound too far out, but that income is going to be much greater. Right, so there's a couple pieces. So I don't think there's one size fits all. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's now publications and data coming out that Social Security may be reduced or may not be there forever.
It's underfunded right now.
Yeah.
And some of the reports are saying as early as 2033, maybe even 2032, that your Social Security could be reduced by 10 or 20%. We're hoping that Congress comes together. We're hoping that they do something, but there's no promises there. Yeah. So I can't imagine taking a 20% reduction. So let's say you retired this year, right? 10 years from now, 8 years from now, taking a reduction in it. Yeah. And for somebody who's already 75 right now, I can't imagine the devastating effects of that. And there's, as you said, there's not a lot you can do. You can't reverse it once you've turned that on. Yeah. Talk a little bit more, if you don't mind, though, about the spousal part of it.
Sure.
Because there might be somebody who's saying, look, I'm working full time. Yeah. I want to take this as soon as I can. Sure. We have a wonderful spouse who maybe has lower amounts in credits, so they're going to take the spousal benefit. Oftentimes, I got to admit here, our female spouse lives much longer than us. So we're now locking in that lower amount for a much longer time, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, I think income, so when you look at both sides, okay, who made the most amount of income over the longest period of time is going to have the highest payout. But more importantly, not all Social Security gets passed on. It's usually typically the two of the highest, right? So depending on when that's taken, who takes it, a lot of time you have a reverse effect where maybe it's the female that made a little less income than the husband, and maybe she's older, right? So there's some effects to who takes it when, and then maybe we're waiting until he's 70 to make sure that if he takes it at 70 and she takes it at 62, well, the reason he's taking it at 70 is because it's going to be a greater amount. So if something did happen to the gentleman, she's going to get the higher of the two amounts of the Social Security.
You put together retirement income strategies. You don't mind talking with folks, though, about Social Security? I mean, you're not the Social Security Administration. You don't make anything from this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's part of planning. It's part of you're owed this. You've worked for this. You've put in 20, 30, 40 years, working years. I wish you could cash it out. That'd be awesome, right? But it doesn't work that way. But it's something that's part of our foundational points. It keeps you from being in poverty, right? So it's there. You're going to collect on it. There's a strategy to it. It's going to be part of your plan. For some, it's going to be a big piece of the plan. For others, it's going to be a very small piece of the plan.
Yeah. So, Matias Leyva, thank you very much. If you're wondering when you should turn on your Social Security, don't forget, it's a decision that you often cannot unwind. So you're going to be locking in that amount for the rest of your life for you and possibly your spouse. spouse. So if you'd like to know when is the most optimal time, you can speak with Matias and his team. Founder here of Truckee Financial Group. You can go to his website, truckeefinancial.com, or wait for the next screen. You can call the phone number, schedule your own appointment. Say, when should I take my Social Security? Thank you for watching.